If you're heading out to fish this weekend, do not ignore this forecast. The weather's getting nasty across the Midwest and the South, and it's going to move bass in a big way. Let's go. Welcome back to Bass Prediction Center, where we're tracking the weather, seasonal patterns, and tournament trends to help you catch more and bigger fish. All right, guys, jumping right in with our weekend map. Things are looking about the same as they did earlier in the week. The ice line is sitting right along that Canadian border. The whole country is just about to be ice-free. If you're in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, and then the Northeast, you're probably fishing a winter pattern still right now. Just south of that, across the Nebraska border, parts of Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, and then the Northwest, Pennsylvania, Ohio, all across the Midwest, you guys are fishing pre-spawn right now, and now's the best time to get out there and catch an absolute giant. Spawn zones are going to be in Oklahoma, northern Texas, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, all across the Dixie Alley, parts of the South, California. You're sitting in a perfect spawn pattern right now. Get out there and flip some bedfish up. Postspawn, Florida, southern Louisiana, southern Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi, South Texas, and the very southern parts, California, Arizona. You're in a post-spawn area right now. Great time to catch a bunch of fish, so head out right now and get those giant bass, guys. Guys, we are sitting at 376 subscribers, and that's thanks to all of you out there. Right now, we are having a giveaway, so when we get to 500 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a Beyond Braid tackle box and a Beyond Braid spool of 10-pound black braid, the 8X, their best line. So, guys, if you would, click the subscribe button, click the bell, so we can make the best fishing community right here on YouTube. Guys, in our tournament spotlight, we have the NPFL going on at Lake Norman. They are weighing in right now. Tune in to NPFL.com to see who won this thing. Right now, it looks like Hank Cherry has a chance, but the weights are super tight. So make sure you follow along. Go to NPFL.com to see who wins. All right, looking over at Bassmaster.com, we do have the St. Croix Bassmaster Open at the Tombigbee River there in Mississippi. And this is another really tight tournament. It is the spawn time of year, so a lot of fish being caught. A lot of males, so as you can see, Trey Schroeder's leading this thing with 42-12, but only 10 pounds separates him in the top 10, so it's a very close tournament. Again, anybody can win this thing. This thing finishes up tomorrow, so tune in at Bassmaster.com to watch it live tomorrow. All right, guys, jumping into our weather, and this is our SPC outlook for today. And as you can see, areas all the way from Michigan all the way down to central Texas are in the slight risk area. There's a good chance for a big line of thunderstorms to form right here that could be dangerous with some hail and strong winds, and we'll discuss it in just a little bit here. Let's look at tomorrow. Tomorrow's looking very similar to today. The northern part of this does shift a little bit east and is not as risky, but down in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, you are going to be dealing with some storms, and there is going to be some flooding, which we will talk about in a little bit. That is going to be dangerous for those areas that have already been hit in the last month here. And right now on Sunday, there already is an enhanced risk put out by the SPC here in the middle part of Missouri, and then the slight risk extends all the way into Arkansas and northern parts of Louisiana. If you're in these areas on Sunday, you're going to want to watch out. Probably not going to want to fish on those days. There's going to be flood waters and possible tornadoes and thunderstorms, so keep your eye to the weather on these ones, guys. All right, guys, this is what we have going on right now. There's a low pressure system sitting right over Iowa, and this is going to drape a cold front down all the way to Texas, which is going to fire up these storms as we move into the evening tonight on Friday. So as it continues to warm up here, these things are going to just explode. We're looking at probably a little closer to midnight for this to happen, but storms in a line all the way, like we said, from Michigan down through Texas, and all these do bring the chance of some possible severe weather with hail, some tornadoes, and some wind. So if you're fishing in these areas tonight, in the evening, especially even overnight, maybe you're walleye fishing or catfishing, you're going to watch out in those areas because there is a huge risk of severe weather right now. And then as we move this thing forward into Saturday, as you can see, the storms kind of sit in the same general vicinity, and this is where we're going to run into the problem with the flooding. They're kind of just chilling over Oklahoma and Texas, Missouri and Arkansas, and that's an area where there's already a lot of floodwaters, a lot of the soil's already moist, so if you're in those areas, you're going to watch out for flash flooding, but also the water's going to raise even more than it already has. These dams are going to be working hard to get rid of this water right now. It's going to be a bad deal. And then Sunday, more of the same thing. Another line of storms that's just going to push right through the same area, Missouri, Arkansas. If you're fishing in Wisconsin, Michigan, you're going to see storms on Sunday. Sunday evening into overnight, all throughout the day on Sunday, actually. So As you can see, this thing just pushes to the northeast and just pours a bunch of rain in these areas. And there is a risk, like we said, for tornadoes, high winds, and hail in these areas. So you're going to want to be safe. Keep your ears tuned to the weather. And if you do get out fishing, make sure you have your life jackets and your kill switches on. All right, our wind gust map does not look good for most of the country. You're looking at 44-mile-an-hour gusts up in Michigan and areas all the way down. Anywhere in these bright red spots is over 40 miles an hour, and then the purple is 30 plus miles an hour, and all those are not safe for boating. So if you're fishing, you want to stay in a protected cove or area, somewhere you can get out of this wind. You don't want to get out on big water right now. If you're up in the Great Lakes, don't even think about it. Nebraska, you're dealing with 30-mile-an-hour winds all the way up into Minnesota. And then as this moves through the week here, or weekend, kind of just following these fronts, it's just going to continue to be windy. This pushes right up into the northeast, very windy in Maine, New York, Texas. You're going to be windy as heck on Saturday. The rest of the country, not too bad on Saturday. The West, California, you're looking great. Really good fishing weather for you. And then on Sunday morning, pretty windy all throughout the plains and the southern plain states. And then that just pushes along with those storms into Missouri, all the way up into the Midwest. So if you're in these areas, guys, like I said, have a life jacket, have your kill switches engaged. So that way you're not unsafe out there on the water. All right, looking at our temperature anomaly map, as you can see, there's a big swath of warm air out in front of these storms right now, and it's a very sharp decline once you get behind the cold front. And that's why you're going to have prefrontal fishing out in front of this thing, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas. If you're going to fish, today's the day probably for these areas. Should be a pretty good bite as the weather warms. Northwest, you're cooler than average, especially up in the mountains, which isn't that strange this time of year. You trout fishermen, just watch out. It's going to be a little bit cool. And then that cold air kind of just hangs out in the Nebraska, Midwest area, northern plains on Saturday. Big swath of cold air here in New Mexico, western Oklahoma, Kansas. Going to be much cooler than average, up to 14 to 20 degrees cooler than average. The northeast and the southeast, you're looking warmer than average. In California, you're also looking warmer than average, which is really nice for you guys. And then on Sunday, this cold air moves east, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, northern parts of Texas. Going to be quite a bit colder than normal. Northern plains, you've got a nice little patch of warm air sitting over you. And the southeast is staying warm, pushing those spawning fish up onto beds. All right, guys, this is the total rainfall through Sunday night at midnight. And as you can see, big amounts of rain here in Missouri. You're talking about 3 to 4 inches in some areas. Also in eastern Oklahoma and north central Texas. The thing you can do if you're fishing in these areas, and this is what the pros can do differently, you're going to find the fish that are least affected by these floodwaters. So you're going to go towards the dams. You're going to go into the deeper water sections of the lake, because those fish live in those areas. They live a little bit deeper, and they don't notice the floodwaters as much. The fish that live up in the rivers and in the creek arms, they're going to experience that muddy, cold water coming in. They're going to shut down. But your fish that live down into near the dam and near the bigger parts of the lake aren't going to be as affected. You can catch those fish, graph for them, use your forward-facing sonar if you have to. If not, get on some steep banks, steep points, places the fish can move up and down easily without being so affected by these floods. So if you're fishing in these areas, well, that's what you need to do, but remember to be safe out there while you're doing it. All right, guys, everybody's favorite part of the video, the Beyond Braid Baits of the Week. Don't forget to go to beyondbraid.com and use code BPC10 for 10% off anything in their shop. In our post-spawn areas this week, we are looking at a Zoom Ultravibe speedworm. This is excellent around grass. Any kind of thick cover, it's super weedless. You can buzz it right over the tops of things. You can let it go under the water. Rig it Texas style with a lightweight, maybe a 1/4 ounce or a little bit less. Burn this thing over the top. Run it right over grass. It's going to slaughter some giant fry garters and those post-spawn females. Spawn areas, we're looking at a MaxScent creature hog. This is one of the best flipping baits out there if you're fishing beds or you just want to flip it around areas where you know there's fish. They're going to eat this thing. They're going to hold on to it because it's MaxScent. It's an excellent bait. Use it on a Texas rig with a EWG hook or a flipping hook, and you're going to kill them. This time of the year, you're going to want to use a 1/4 ounce weight on this thing, also not so heavy. Pre-spawn areas, we're looking at the Z-Man Chatterbait Elite Evo. This is my new favorite chatterbait. I love it with a Spunk Shad. It's probably my favorite trailer for these things. Throw it around anywhere that you think the fish might be sent up to go to spawn. Right before they hit in, if they're in grass areas, it's really good around there. You can rip it out of the grass or even around rocks. Areas where the fish are just staging up to spawn. And then in winter areas, you're going to find those deep schools of fish, and you're going to drop this 6-inch gyro tail spinner down to them. Kind of a secret of the pros here. They're using this thing on forward-facing sonar, especially in winter and early pre-spawn areas, to catch mega bags of fish, and nobody's talking about it. So check out the baits of the week. Go to beyondbraid.com. Use code BPC10 to get you some new braided line or some tackle boxes right now. And that is your BPC weekend update. Let me know where you're fishing, or drop your favorite bait in the comments. Don't forget to follow, like, and sub on YouTube if you haven't already. Help us hit that 500 subscriber mark and win you some nice stuff from Beyond Braid. See y'all out there, and make sure you stay safe this weekend, guys. Tight lines, let's go.